In typical me style, I changed my mind about my background colors, so we're going to start over with our filming. The colors that I chose, I've mixed up different chips for the blues that Decorative has because they don't have exactly the ones that I like. And I've decided in this range of paints. And what it is it's ultramarine blue plus primary blue mixed 1 to 1. Then this side is pure. That's just that mix, that's what it equals, and then plus white, plus white, plus white. This side, which is the side we're going to use, is first plus black. Okay, and then we mix white into it after we've muddied it with some black. So that's what you're going to do first, is you're going to mix your blues together, and you want to do enough so you get your background. We're going for this color first, and then slowly mix some more whites in it. So, got my ultramarine blue. I'm going to mix enough to get it based. Hopefully I don't end up with a big waste. And then, there we go. Get our palette knife out. Okay, and it's just got a different kind of a flavor to it. Okay, now this first mix we're going to use will have a lot of, we're going to mix it down. So we'll mix this to the dark color, then we'll use it to roll, and then we'll mix whites in it from here. So, not too much. Remember, black will swallow up colors. I hope I just didn't overdo it there. So was that maybe, that looks very, very bad. Okay, here's what we never do. We never do what I just did, and I know better, which is just great. We never mix our black or our dark color or our light color directly into our puddle. We put it over here and take a little bit at a time. So now we watched me use a whole bottle of paint to show you how to do a lesson. So we'll do that again. Ta-da! You know, you never remember what you know. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I've got a little bit of that color in there. So about equal, equal, equal. And I'm just going to take from that petal. Okay, and we're just going to pick up a little bit. So, a little bit. Notice I'm adding to my puddle with a little bit off the edge. The concept. Okay. Pick up a little bit more. When you start getting close, then you got to say, okay, that's enough. And it's still looking a little electric to me, so get another one. But with these size piles, I would say a touch of black or something like that. Getting there, I think more. And because that black is mixed with those other blues, that's why it's not being as powerful on this pile. Okay. I think that's a little bit more. Okay, I'm looking for the electricity to disappear because that's way too bright the other way. Alright, and now I think we're going to add just a touch of white to this because I think that's way too dark. So we're going to put our white out here. Boy, we've learned something so valuable today. Take just a touch. Okay, I don't know how that's going to affect us, so. Nope, not very much. The white is going to tell us a little bit more about our color too. It's going to tell us whether we have electricity or not, whether it's toned enough. For backgrounds, usually colors that are toned are prettier. Okay, you know what? I'm thinking that's pretty good. I'm going to go one more touch of the white. Yeah, that's getting better. Kind of a grayish, bluish, not really gray, but okay. Now this is going to dry down darker, so I'm thinking one more. Yeah, oh, that's going to be, yeah. Paint dries about, what is it, 20% they say. Darker. Okay. Roller, because the rolling goes way faster. Okay, my roller that's not rolling. Okay. And get that rolled on. Just roll on one thin coat. I could get my roller to roll. My rollers are worn out. I think it's time for new. We're going to roll on another coat, and then while it's wet, we're going to do some stuff to it. And see, so I may not have built enough of mine. So what we'll do is, now see what I've got here is I've got little pieces of paper stuck under there so I don't mess my table up. I'm always looking like such a pig on camera, so I'm trying really hard to clean my act up. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we'll try. I can learn. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to end up mixing more. So just go ahead and mix more and then base your whole thing, and I'll go play with that other pile of paint. It looks like I have plenty there. Okay, so in the meantime, I've had to mix that other pile of paint because I did run out. And now I'm going to be doing some sponging, so I'm going to need some of this paint to transform into a lighter color. So what I'll do, we'll learn our lesson and remember it, and I'm practicing it so often that I'll probably actually remember it. We'll go here, we want to lighten it by a couple of steps. So remember we talked about on our color wheel, on our value scale. So we have the darkest here, and that's down in the basement, that's number 1. And then we walk out of the basement into the light, and this is like the sunshine. So white is a 10, and black would be the 1. We mixed something in, like, say, a value 3. And so now the next value I'm going to want to mix is going to be, and I'm going right here to a value 5. Okay. And then the next one that I mix is going to be a value second coat. I got a little bit of black on the fringe here. It's okay, we'll mix it in. Okay, now if this coat, because I had to mix the second pile, isn't quite the same color, or if your color isn't quite the same color as my color, don't worry about it, because it will be part of the same family and it'll work out just fine. But we want that solid before we start messing with it. Okay, oops, twist. Yeah, I think my roller's shot. Be careful, these rollers when you're using them will spit at you, and then they will make your clothes messy. I don't mind so much getting things on me, but I don't like it on my clothes so much. If you get any raised kind of bumps on this when you're rolling, sometimes it'll be a little bumpy. Just take sandpaper and real gently just sand off the bumps. Okay, so now I have my colors mixed on here, going from, so like there's this color, then a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter, and the very lightest. We're actually going to use this one the least, the lightest one. I have a sea sponge, okay, which is nice and open. Don't get those tight ones that look like this on the, you want them nice and big hole type things. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, it's wet. I want it kind of juicy wet, but not so much that it's going to make a mess. Squeeze it out just a little bit. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to dig into this and smear it around here. Okay, and then I've got that mushed onto my sponge. And I'm going to tap it on here. Now if I just do this, it's going to look like a really tacky 1980s sponge job, and I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a cleaner part of my sponge. I'm going to do a little twisting. And I want to make a bunch of little circles, so I'm going to also dance and twist and dance and twist. Okay, we're going for kind of an even look. Okay. I'm getting like a polka dot there. I have, that's what I have. I have a white spot where something wasn't mixed. So I can just use that cleaner part of my sponge. If you get, say, something like that on your piece, then all you have to do is go with your sponge into your dark color, and you can blend that right out. So your dark color is your eraser. So if you get something out of control, just go back with dark. I've got some black mixed in there. So while it's wet, sponging and twisting. I'm not hitting this really hard. Okay, just trying to get an even color. I'm going to have an awful lot. This mailbox takes up a lot of the space. Go back over on my palette, get a little bit more. Okay, now I don't care if there's paint on my sponge, but I do want it a little bit wetter, so I'm going to pick up just a little bit of water. I'm going to go into the lighter color, do the same kind of thing. And this is going to be a little less pressure. And you got to stand up to do this. Don't be sitting down and thinking you're going to get it to look like anything. Now I haven't got mine hemmed yet, my piece. Okay, so it's getting nice and even. So now I'm going to go into the lightest color. And I put a lot of that on my sponge, so I'm going to go wring it out a little bit. I'm going to blot on my paper towel so I make sure I don't have it too watery. Okay. Now this is going to be less. Twisting, twisting, twisting. Now see, I'm wiggling it. And I'll go back and stipple on it. I don't want those circles. I don't want like crop circles though. Okay, I think that's light enough. I'm going to get a little bit more light. Notice I did it again. Good grief. Alright, so I'm just going to try it and be careful. I'm just going to wiggle it around. I'm barely touching it because of course I have so much light on it. This to rest into the background a little bit. Okay, now I think we'll go in with just a little bit of light on the tippy. I'll put some walking around. Yeah, I don't like that. I'll go back. I'm using the back of my sponge to kind of get rid of that. Tone down. Anything you don't like, just hit it with the back of your sponge. But don't get it all blended together or you'll end up with just mud. So, I tested it to see if the green sticks out. Now this lighter green that I had does stick out kind of a lot, so I switched to a little bit darker and then we can put highlights on it. I'm going to use this angle stippler brush, okay? And when you use one of these brushes, let me get this off the wet paint, you need to smash them open. You get them wet, soak them in water for like 20-30 minutes, and then smash the snot out of them. Okay? Otherwise, it'll be all tight and it won't make a really pretty tree. So smash, smash, smash. Sorry, I know it looks like torture. Then you get water in your paint, continue to smash. They always seem, you know, so funny. We know that we shouldn't do this to our brushes, but it's like this one always goes back to its normal shape. So, you know, I think maybe we're sometimes a little too afraid of using our brush. Anyway, so we've got watery paint. I'm going to start at the top. Just going to stipple and then stipple out to make these branches. I'm on the toe, so I should get it slightly wider as we go down. And we don't want any background, we want the tree to be the background behind this mailbox, so we want to make sure that we go right up to our base coats and stuff like that. Let's see, there's a letter here. All right. Okay, so got a little tree shape back there. And this one's a little taller. Make sure, if you have astigmatism, slap a ruler on there and give yourself at least the core line, because leaning pine trees are not pretty pine trees. Okay, so get all that kind of greenery back there. I'm just going to kind of show behind here. Okay, we got a couple more down here. Okay, the more in the background it gets, the more we're going to want to go fadey, fadey, fade. And so I'm going to mix a little bit of burnt umber with my green just to tone that puppy down just a little bit and give myself a couple of even more backgroundy trees. And I think we can put it ready. So we're making these ghosty trees back here. And see how they dried down to the point where you can't really even see that they're there. So I'm going to go into more of the white. And maybe that's a little too much. A little bit of the other colors on there. Just enough to tone it down. A little bit of the... Okay, hello. There we go. Lots of water. I don't think that's enough water. Too much water. It's all about just figuring out a balance there. Okay, so come back up here. Make this little forest. When we get our trees done, and we'll do some that are in front of the trees as well. Now see how I'm freehanding this? You could just definitely freehand. This does not have to be a rocket science kind of thing. They're going to sit back there in the background anyway. Okay, and so now this guy right here that I had problems with my colors on, see how it's sticking out quite a bit. We won't worry about that right now. Okay, so back to how's a green medium. Lots of water. And so this is going to be more, I'm just going to, see now I made that level. Whoops, you can't see anything. Go get in there tight. Okay. So made that level. Then make another level straight across the front of the tree, kind of dipping down a little bit. Okay. Tapping in and out. Kind of getting some colors. I've moved my paint to the other side. It's always a good idea to keep your paint on the same side as your water bucket, because you don't need to be reaching over your nicely painted project with a lot of sloppy paint. Okay, so we're going to shade with our midnight green, and I need to shake it up. When you have paint that comes out and it seems kind of slimy, that means the mediums have separated and you need to get some more You need to shake it some more. Okay, midnight green. One more time. Okay, then we'll go ahead and tuck some strong shading underneath the branches. And yeah, you betcha. Underneath the branches. Notice how I'm doing it jiggity-jaggedly. We're not going to worry about perfection here. The color stays to the top. Okay. This is just to get some dark back there to separate. It's got to be kind of thick too, so I'm pressing as I'm jiggly-jaggling. Not a ton of water, it's more of a strong float, not well blended. Go ahead and float some highlights with just our flat brush. I'm using just a number 8 flat or whatever. We'll float right on top of there, really jiggly jags. Okay, make that look a little bit more tree branch like. This is a good time to push anything out that you don't like the look of it. Like that needs to maybe come out a little bit more. Try not to make it the same. It's really tempting to try to make everything all balanced and stuff. That's not the idea. Okay. Now some of these trees are going to be more than others. Okay, so as I've mixed, pardon me, the white plus black plus one of my middle value blues to make a muddy gray color. And I'm burping, so pardon me. Okay, and we're going to base that in that foreground snow. One thing about this is it's got to be light enough. The base coat's got to be light enough so that we can highlight it. If we start with white, then we won't be able to highlight anything because the base coat's already white. So we have to come up with a darker shade to be able to highlight. Kind of working backwards a little bit, it seems like, huh? Okay, so we'll get around that blue. We'll decide how far up we want that snow to go, but we know we want it to go to the edge. And we want it to go to that line, which I haven't made yet. If your coverage is irregular, that is not a problem. If your colors don't exactly match, that's not a problem. Coat it. And now what we want to do is we want to make snow. So I'm going to have the snow falling in drifts. And the snow's not going to fall the same, so you know you don't want to go jing, 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 jing all the way across. And I can make that sound again. Nobody will ever watch a video again. So we just kind of have it settling on some of these branches. Okay. You know, look at it, squint your eyes as you're painting. Kind of see what you're doing, and you go, oh, okay, I like that up there. And I don't really want any, you know, snow there. Go outside right now is a perfect time. Go outside and look at some of the trees when the leaves, when they get all settled with snow on them. Take a look at them. They're definitely heavy. I don't want this to start looking like a shingled house either. Remember, keep that tip up. Did you see what I just did? I just kind of, I didn't point it up to that tip right there. Oops, doing it again. It's because I'm at a wrong angle. Angle is everything. You really need to pay attention to angle. I think what we need to do is probably go ahead, get out our dry rub brush, and paper towel. We'll tip it in some of our paint, rub it off on the paper towel. I'm going to mistify a little bit here and there on these trees. A little bit more paint, a little more rubbing. we know it's going to be there. It's not going to fall solid, so I want to let's mist that up just a little bit. And we'll test our theory. Yeah, that makes it a little bit less like a base coat. Okay, this one's really dropping down here. And the next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to float with traditional burnt umber inside our mailbox. I'm not even sure if this is going to show enough. No. I mean, I think I want to mix traditional burnt umber and black. Make it even a darker dark. And we'll try that. That should be much better. Okay, so to get a float that's a little bit wider, I need to cast that as the inside of the mailbox. It's under the snow and everything else. I'm going to walk out my float. So I start next to the edge, get it kind of blended, and then what I'm doing is I'm also underwetting this area right here by rubbing my brush back and forth on it. So what's going to happen is as it underwets, and the paint has something to blend into. Now that I've done that, I'm going to give myself a sharper line where this envelope is. I'm going to give myself a sharper line underneath the snow. This is going to have a little kind of an edge to it. So we'll get our round brush. And then we have to decide, do we want it to be a lighter edge or a darker edge? I'm going to go with lighter. So I'm going to go into honey brown. Get it so I can undress this. Okay, so I'm going to just put that right there on the edge. Just paint that honey brown with a little bit of water. And that just shows that it's kind of folded over. Okay, the back edge is going to have the same kind of treatment. It's got that edge that just comes down. Now that one, I think, we'll go ahead and make it lighter. Okay. Okay, but then, see, it just looks, I always know where your palette's at. Okay, so we got a shade underneath the snow. Do some thick, some thin. So that it's not, you know, the same all the way across. That's what I don't like a lot about some decorative painting is it's just, you know, you float and it's exactly the same going all the way across. I think it becomes like little soldiers or something. Okay, might want that. Maybe a little bit more here. Stay out of your snow. Okay, looks like it's hanging over the side. I'm going to run this along a little bit deeper and then pull it up as a chisel float. And then that gives it the effect of it being going uphill. Being going. Technical terms, huh? Okay, now we can address this thing over here. That is going to be a skinny float of traditional burnt umber. On an edge of the mailbox on the inside is going to have the honey brown. I'm hoping that's not going to be too bright. I'm just going to bring that in just a little bit. Just flicking real softly. Okay, and then the front of the mailbox itself, after we get out of the shadow of the snow, that's going to have a nice strong highlight. And it's going to fade out because it's going to go, now it's behind where that goes, where that star shine goes. I think we can do this front one just a little bit stronger now that we've got it established, but skinnier. So now it's not so fat. We're going to give the same treatment here, a little bit of the honey brown, just kind of floated skinny. And we'll let it fill in this flap in the front. Now obviously we have to shade that as well. Okay, so what do we want to do? I think we'll get into traditional burnt umber. I'm going to turn this. And one more time. Okay, so I'm going to float out where the letter is. Sometimes you get a little too much water or your paint's not shook enough and you won't get any paint sitting down at all. Okay, now this has got that rim, so we'll go ahead and give it a bit of dark. Brush and traditional burnt umber. Pardon me. I'm going to come over here, and because this is that sunk down far corner, I've got some other color in my brush. I'll clean that out, pick up a new brush. It's great to have a ton of these little guys. They're so helpful. Okay. Alright, I wanted my mailbox to look a little beat up, so I won't worry about if it had that little bit of color in there. Okay, so I am going to rub traditional burnt umber over here, and I'm going to bring it out in a kind of a diamond type pattern. Just showing that that's that far removed corner. Pick up some more paint. When you first load your paint with the dry rubbing technique, you want to be really careful to go with gentle pressure the first time. Okay. I'm kind of going at an angle. I think I'm liking the angle thing, so. That just gives it a little bit more interest than it had. It didn't have so much interest, I don't think. Okay, we're going to do the same thing down here. Let's just make that shadow. Once you shade in the corner with the float, you can use the dry rub technique to extend it out. Okay, so that's hanging down. Okay. Now it's time for me to take a look and see what I think. How's that going? Alright, maybe I'm pretty happy with that. A little liberal here. Deepen that down there. This is underneath stuff, so it would be darker. So that can be nice and deeply dark. A little bit more. Okay, a little bit deeper, a little bit darker. You know, you don't want to get all the way there. Pardon me. You don't want to get all the way there right away because you don't know if you'll need to back off of it a little bit later. So I think I'm going to leave it at that point. Maybe a little bit more in here. A little bit more. Okay, I'm liking, you know, squint at it, and if you can't see it, then look through your value finders to see if you've established lights and darks. I think I want milk chocolate. I'm going to shade with milk chocolate. And probably burnt umber as well. Now this is where you shade. In this case, this is going to be the front angle right here along this edge. This is going to be where it turns. In order to show that this becomes the back angle, this has got to have a strong shade right here. And actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and just wash this one level darker all the way down. It's almost like a float, but it's a wash float. Maybe I can coin a new term. Okay, so just go ahead and get that darker all the way down. Oops, my wood is wobbly. Okay, see how that already looks like it goes around the corner. That front corner. Oops, got some black in my brush. I don't want this one to be too wide, because it is, after all, in the shade. It's on the shadow side from the light source. Light's coming from back here, and so I just want it to show that. Get out my burnt umber, and this is what I'm going to shade this post with. So I'm going to shade not only to show shadow. So go under here. We're going to shade with burnt umber to show that this sits underneath that mailbox. There's my dog letting us know that somebody's here. I don't think somebody's here. I think somebody's across the neighbors. Okay, and we want it to shade underneath here too, so I'm going to go ahead and make it go right behind the ribbon. But then, once I get it behind the ribbon, I'm going to start walking it flat out. There's going to be all kinds of stuff behind here. Some greenery and things like that going along with the ribbon, so we want that darker underneath. Frankly, worrying about whether or not there's streaks and stuff, I'm not even gonna. Okay. Okay, you can make some, you know, you could have some wood grain going on if you wanted to. Some little hoozy ha-has there. Same over here. Okay, now we've got a post that has a little bit of character to it. Okay. Now this little guy up here, we've got to get that a little base coat. We're going to go one shade darker or lighter. I'm going to go into honey brown milk chocolate. No, not milk chocolate. I think it's honey brown. And we're going to just base coat that in honey brown. Oopsie. Big ridge. Wow. What a mess. Okay, so wow, what a disaster. Somebody told me I knew how to paint. Okay. Okay. We have some nail holes that are down here, so we'll just get our round brush and we'll go into burnt umber. A little bit of water would be okay. I don't know what happened, but when I trace the pattern, they're all going downhill, so I'm going to try to even them up right now. I assume that they would be evenly nailed. You know, now again, if you have a mailbox, that's your favorite mailbox, and you wanted to copy it, then you could change the colors and use the references that you have on there. I guess I'm going to need a name or something on here. I didn't think of that. While I have this color out, I'm going to line underneath. Oh, it's wet. Remember, if things are cold, that means they're wet. Okay, so I'm going to line underneath there just to show that it's casting that shadow. Give it a strong line there. Over here as well, let's go ahead and we've shaded that, but now let's give it a line. Okay. Now on one side of our nails, let's go ahead and give them, we're going to use the black color, I think, and a very black plus traditional burnt umber, very small float, very controlled. And let's just shade one side of our little nails. Okay, now we can see them. And we'll take our liner brush or our round brush, and we'll go into honey brown. Maybe go into not honey brown. Yeah, honey brown. And let's just give it a little bit of a C-stroke on the opposite side. Just a little lining stroke. And then we'll go into black with water. And we'll line on the other side next to that highlight. Okay, and now they are more detailed. Ribbon here with antique maroon. And I'm running out of spots to blend on my palette. Okay, so we'll shade where the knot comes around. Okay. So that's what you do, is you figure out what's on top of what, and you just go from there. Okay, so this part of this ribbon is on top of that hole that's in the back. So I'll shade back there. This part is in the back, so we'll shade back there. Really, you could almost tint that whole thing. This part right here is underneath. That top thing sticks out. Same here. Okay, what are we doing here? This sticks in there. Keep that off. All right, now these edges over here fade around. So what we're going to do is we're going to give them a shade as well, because they are in essence behind this high point right here. You're getting the right angle, wow. Okay, I'm going to make that a little bit wider right there. Our ribbon is getting a little bit of body to it. Now, this is going to be high and this is high. This is going to be lower and this is going to be lower, but if we float it, it's going to be stripy, and I don't want stripy. So I'm going to just wash this ribbon back here because this isn't going to be as light as this is. And I think I'll wash this in the corner. Okay. And I think this needs to be, like, this puckers in here, so let's make it more puckery instead of so shape following. Tucks in there. Okay, I'm liking that better. Now what we're going to do to show the shadowing, my brushes, let's see if I get a dry one. I'm going to use, this one's a dome round, too big. I got a dome. Crescent stencil brush. We're going to go into our antique maroon, dry brush, dry rub. And then I'm just going to rub in the area where it would be darker. Okay, and that's going to give it an appearance. Let's go zoom in a little bit. down here it would be. Okay. Whoops. Oh, my brush soaking in water makes all the paint chip off the handle of your brush. Okay, now I'm going to deepen it right within the middle of where I did that, and it's a little bit wet, so it's lifting. So I'm going to have to wait for that to dry. Okay, so I'll just put my brush aside and then I'll take care of that in a second. So I've got my cad orange in the dry rub brush. Just highlight this to pop it out just a little bit more. Okay. Shape following. And this is going to go shape following as well, and we're going to do it big to begin with. And this is going to go larger too, and then we're going to repeat it where it just really turns that corner right there. See how that's getting a little bit brighter? You want to stay out of your shadow area when you're doing this. Now, because I know that it's wet, I'm stippling instead of rubbing, because stippling won't take my paint off. We'll change to a float. Cad orange, and we'll bring that down into this little tip right here. Now, my goal is not to make this an orange ribbon, so I'm going to be careful about leaning it too far that direction. I think we can get it a couple of, like up here where this is going to be stronger. I don't know that my camera is picking up on this orange color, so I'll have to see it when it's on the monitor. And bring that over. Over here to be stronger. A little hint of that over here. Okay, we're getting a little bit orange looking. Alright, so I'm going to tip into, what is it? Orange Twist. Dirty brush on my brush here. And that's just going to be the thing that bends it even more. Doing it lightly first. This is going to be, this is wet under there, I can see it. So I'm not really putting on too much, but it doesn't take a lot of highlight to make a difference. And that's wet up there. Alright, I think our ribbon might have enough detail on it now. Yeah, you never know. Let's give it one more pop. And I can go at the end and I can pop everything at once, but so I'm not blending or rubbing now. That gives it a little bit more Well, this is going to be darker over on this side, so. Put a little bit down here. Value 5 of that gray-blue mix that we had, and I've transferred on my my candy cane shape, and that's too bad because that's going to go away. Okay, now I'm doing a pretty messy job of floating here. I want that lower corner, I want it deep, where it's tucked inside. Okay, and I think I'm going to be okay with that. I'll strengthen that with a dry rub, which will clean it up, and then I'll be highlighting out here. So let's look at that highlight color. This is our center of interest. Thinking I might be able to go to a totally out of the box here with a white float. And then we're going to tint it with some yellow. So I don't want it all the way tucked in the corner, so I'm kind of teasing and tickling that color over there. Okay, now before I do any of the rubbing stuff that I'm going to have to do to clean this all up, I need to put my words and my stuff like that on it. And while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to shade this little nugget thing right there with some burnt umber. No, that's going to be the forward edge. We'll do it back here. Just going to shade it to show that it's back tucked over there. We're going to need to shade on top of this red flag. I'm going to use the antique maroon for that, because it's definitely back behind. So there's that edge. And we'll highlight that front edge with the camel color. Ooh, I dipped into black. My palette, once your palette gets to the point where it's just disgusting and messy, it's time to get a clean palette. Okay. I think we need to shade this a little bit deeper, so we're going to go into the burnt umber black mix to deepen this down. Ooh, that's like black. That's like the darkest spot on this piece right there. So I think even though that looks too dark to me right now, I'm going to go ahead and just drag down a little bit more. And just drag that down a little bit. That'll diffuse it just a bit. And I'm liking that better. And I'll add that down here as well. Just with like a wash. And where that disappears into the snow, that will also end up being shadowy. Okay, are we dry? I think we're dry. Okay, time to transfer pattern. Alright, to catch up, what I've done is I have base coated the back hollies with evergreen and the front ones with holly green. Ha! Perfect. Okay, I base coated this candy canes just a little bit lighter gray than the letter to Santa. Now, what you need to do is you need to assess, don't listen to me say value 7 or value 5 or value 1 or whatever. You got to look at what you have and you have to see what value it is, and then you have to adjust it to this, otherwise it won't show up. So to carry the color red around the piece, I'm going to get into my tomato red with my round brush, and we're going to make Santa's name be red. Like it was done with a red crayon. Now I think it's a really neat idea to put whoever wrote this letter as the name of somebody that is special to you. So I'm going to use my granddaughter Emily. stamp, I'm just going to make it in the red family. I want that red carried around. You can add, you know, you could put a Santa Claus on there if you're a detail person. I'm just going to put maybe some, like, pretend like there's some trees on there or something like that. Okay, yeah, just a little something. I've wiggled the edges. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to shade with a liner brush shade, which means I'm just going to line next to the edge of the stamp to show that it's on top. Give it a little bit of detail there. A highlight up here, so let's go ahead and take care of that now. Let's highlight with the orange, and it'll be just a strong float. Stand up so I can get up there. Okay. I'm going to shade underneath with burnt umber just to show that it's on top. Let's see, glasses on. That's going to show, you know, this isn't going to show so much. I'm going to mix a little black with that. Okay. This should show things that are up and things that are down as far as top and bottom position. And the darker you get, the more it's going to look like it's way behind. Oh, my head's probably right in your way. Okay, so these guys are way back there. Okay, now we've got behind and in front. Might be a little dark. And then for these top ones, we'll use evergreen to shade that. Nope, we'll use the just plain midnight green. It's not showing. Okay. The highlighting is what's going to do it for these. We're going to shade our candy canes with black plum. Real nice tight shade, not stripy, just nice and clean. It doesn't want to float all the way across that candy cane. It's going to make that edge nice and crisp. Once again, this is going to depend a little bit on what your candy cane color is. If you're brighter than I am, you might need to do antique maroon instead. Deepen that a little bit. Keep it clean up the middle if you have to wipe it off with a Q-tip. Okay, these have got little flipped, it's got a top to it. I think that'll go that direction and that direction. And that'll be highlighted there. And then that'll be shaded where that one meets that one. I'm going to use some white. To highlight the tip. And now that that's white, it's looking a little bit too white for me, but I'm going to dip my number 6 flat into the paint, and I am just going to give it a little kind of dry brush in its white area to brighten my candy canes up just a little bit. Okay, that's better. Now, the same technique, we're going to run a highlight down each of where the highlight would be. Oops, it's got to be straight. If it's not straight, then it won't look like a shiny candy cane, like a hard candy. Okay. And I see a spot. This is where you spit on your Q-tip and get the spot off. Okay, let's see over here too. There. Good, now we have candy canes. Woohoo! How cute are they? That turned out pretty good, I like that. Okay, back to our leaves. We're going to highlight our leaves, the dark leaves, with a rub. I need one of those really small rubbing brushes. I think I'll choose one of the like gentle rougers, which are micro tight. And we're going to go into our holly green. And we're going to highlight these dark leaves with the holly green. We don't want them to become holly green, we just want them highlighted with it so that they're kind of in the same family. Now we're going to highlight the holly green ones with bright green, which I don't think I've ever used bright green. So it needs to be shook. You could highlight, I think we could highlight also, the candy cane stripe is the holly green. We could highlight on that if we wanted to. And then we could highlight on the red as well if we wanted to bring up the... Let's flatten our round brush into that orange. Oops, with way too much water in my brush. And just bring up that middle area. Here we go. Nice. So now we'll go into bright green and we'll highlight the sides that we want. In this case, it's got like a raised edge. And we'll give a little highlight to the darker one as well. Yeah, it's a little bit more family-like there. We'll go into our liner brush, our round brush that is. Load some thinned midnight green. Okay. And we'll pull down the lines. I need to be a little stronger, go back, strengthen them. That darker back there. Okay, we're going to have to highlight our snow. I'm going to go into white. And we're just going to make these front floats, snow floats, a little bit deeper than the back ones. So first we're going to attack the front. It's high-low, it's not all the same. When it comes on top of the peak, it's not going to be as floated looking as the back. Okay. Oops, reach on camera. I'm going to come along the top there, which is of course going to get, oops, stay in the lines. Now this is all going to get kissed with different... This is where we go through and start balancing snow out. Okay, so we'll make this snowy right here. And then snow's not going to be flat. It's going to have, you know, wiggly wiggles, little drifts and piles within. And this is obviously going to be piled up here. Okay, not as bright on this back corner here, but it still needs to be snowy. There's going to be some yellow tints that happen because of the starshine. Yep, drifts and piles of snow. Okay, I like that. Now we got to go pay attention to our trees. Alright, we want to start jumping and telling stories. This looks very bright going all the way across. Okay, so I'm not really liking that. That's not working for me. But what I'm going to do is I got to do this star thing that I've got coming around here. And that's going to help. But I'm not quite sure if this is going to be too bright, so be careful. But I'm going to go around over here. Obviously, we're going to cut this corner. I need some water. A little bit of extra oomphs. Okay, and this is going to be at the top. I'm going to be careful. So this is leading down into this, so we're okay with this being bright right here. This is next to it, so we can go there. I want to just stop though and have it not be anywhere else. I can make these tree trunks just a little bit brighter. Okay. Now that makes me happier. It melds in with the box better. Still unsure of what to do with this ground. I think we're going to have to wash it in a very gray blue. So we're going to go for a much darker value. And let's give this just hills, I guess, of snowfall. Okay, so that's our gray mix. Okay, let's make that be a little snowfall in gray. Once we get some background color on this, then we can make some drifts and piles and things like that back there. Our dry rubbing brush, and we're going to get into our white with a little bit of the blue. And we're going to rub these back hills just to show that they're there together. And I don't like how many little lumps and humps I gave them, so I'm going to marry some of these guys together. Liking that better. And then get these guys back here. Now, as the paint is wearing off of my brush, then it's lessening in intensity. And as I work my way to the back, that's exactly what I would have wanted. So let's make this one big hill back here. We don't want it to look like a bunch of moguls, I guess. Okay. So I think that answers our need to move things to the back. Okay, so I think I'm pleased with that. Put a big shining star up here, so I am going to dry rub honey brown, real intense in the middle of the star shine, getting faint and faint as it grows. Okay, and a nice circle-y kind of thing. Start out really little, going around this direction. And it's going to come around here. It's going to get bigger. So it's real tiny as it starts. Get some more paint. Okay. Come around here. It's going to touch on our tree. It's going to come over here on this tree. It's going to come onto our mailbox. Okay. From the mailbox, it's going to jump onto, let's see, put it there. It's going to come on the letter, but I don't want it to skip like that. It'll go up, and then it's going to continue. It's going to be bigger here. Back over here. I'm going to bring it all the way back to the end here. Okay, and that comes around. I need to end like bing right here. So without this magic dust behind, whatever we do next won't show up. So we have to get that established first. Strong enough. So I'll repeat to strengthen. Now I want to go into a little bit of antique gold, which is much yellower. Okay, and that's going to be a bit brighter right there. This is less. Where we want star shines to be, we want the antique gold to be. Whoops, maybe not so. Obviously, it's gonna be where it touches down. Bing. Start going bing, 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 bing. You'll start seeing a little pattern. Okay. Now we want to give. Okay. Let's build our star. I'm going to leave that brush dirty. Alright. Let's see how much water we have built up in this brush. Okay, so we're going to do the star. Make a really nice spiky star shine. And it needs to be longer top to bottom, so I'm going to increase that. Okay, and then we have to have those little side things. Maybe a little longer. So you have to start with the darker color before you can do the less dark colors, because otherwise it just doesn't work. Right here, this is pardon me, honey brown, And then I just did a couple of these with honey brown, and that wasn't right. They didn't show up. I couldn't figure it out because we already have that color behind. So we have to do them with antique gold. Is to go on our star with antique gold. We're not going to come down as far this time. So we're within what we've already done. Start in the middle, pull our way out. Okay, then we're going to go into golden straw, and that's going to be highlighting the other sparkles just within them. Main star with less. And then we'll go into white dirty brush. And the white is a little bit more even. And we'll do the main star. We're going to tape our lines for our outline right there with Scotch tape. Okay, making sure it's straight. Okay. Okay, gotta get up. Okay. Now I want to make this straight to the believe as well as straight to the word. So I want to make sure. Okay. Pinch those down, and then you're going to get out your cosmetic wedge. And we're going to use the tomato color. And we're going to tap on tomato. Using this makeup applicator, it doesn't bleed under. So what you get is a perfect line. And if you don't have any water in it and stuff, now I'm going to have to do that again. So I'll get out more paint. Oh, did I say tomato red? It's not. It's country red. Jeez Louise. It's the Delta Saran Coat throwback there. Then as soon as you can, you just repeat it. You want to take your tape off as soon as possible when taping, because that will not lift as much. Now I'm not worried about lifting on canvas too much. Okay, you think you got it good. Go ahead, remove your tape. I always stick mine to the side of the table until it's dry and then throw it away so I don't end up too painty. A hint when you're doing these letters is to get your round brush, flatten it in your paint, and then do all of your lines going across that are even, so that way they are even. When you base cut, it's real easy to have a line kind of walk on you. And then turn your piece, and then do all of the lines, oh, I should have done those, that go down as well. On the bottoms of our letters with our flat brush with milk chocolate. Okay, and this is going to be bigger. It's going to go almost to the middle. And just kind of tickle it up. gotta be even. That's what makes this look good, is if it's even. Oops. I don't want to base coat it, I just want to float it. It can be darker at the bottom. My tummy is growling. It's almost time to quit, but I don't want to quit till I finish. Golden straw. Try not to run through our letters. And try not to go out of the lines if you can help it. Look. This is where Q-tips come in really handy. Cleans up all your messes. So I want this float, I guess, to be a little stronger because it's not sticking. So I got rid of some of my water. I'll come back and do those tails right there. And last color on the bottom with, I think we'll go into the, not the country red, the other red, the cherry red. Whoops, wrong direction. And that's just going to go right across the bottom. On either side of our bell and underneath the little ding-donger thingy with antique maroon. No, yeah, antique maroon, sorry. So that'll be like a sea float. Just going to spread it out just a little bit. Those edges dark. It'd help if I had some water in my brush. Okay, so after you get it wet, walk it out just a little bit. Now because we're going to do some dry rubbing, I'm not worried so much about it being perfectly even. We'll dry rub to get the roundness. And we can add a little teeny flick of shadow color where that goes there and then where it goes behind. So we're going to highlight with antique gold. And that's going to be our rub. It just makes it nice and round looking, diffuses all of that crappy shading I did. And then we'll pick up Dirty Brush with Golden Straw. Sometimes you need to dry beforehand, and I'm about ready to be done with this project, so I'm not gonna, but I do need to spend more time on my towel. And so that'll be within the middle of the other highlight. I'll wash my brush out. Get your little round brush and take some of the antique gold and then the straw. This bell belt, for want of another terminology, on there. And then Dirty Brush, I'm going to make sure that's kind of straight-ish looking. And Dirty Brush will go into antique gold. And I think we can do it while it's wet. We'll try it in the highlighting area. Okay, it's really helpful if you use a straight hand because round things don't look good with angles on them. Let's try that again. You know, maybe if I put my glasses on, huh? Okay, now to make that really pop out, what we'll do is we'll shade with the antique maroon. Small. Okay, we don't want this to be a big moment. Shade right underneath where that is. And right overneath, where it is, and I know overneath isn't a word. However, it can be Pattyism. Okay, I like that. And then we need to have our little stars painted on, so paint the stars and the bell holes with the candy bar. Okay, now this part is where we're going to spatter. I'm going to start at the top. I've got, what is this? Milk chocolate, no, honey bread. I'm anchoring my hand. Always test your spatters off on your palette. I want that to follow along. By anchoring it, what I'm doing is I'm not allowing it to snow all over everything. Now on the colors that are similar, they're not going to show up very well yet. That's why we do it in a couple colors. Okay, it just starts filling in. It's thin paint, maybe 80% water. Okay, on down. Okay, now next color is going to be the next brighter color, which is the antique gold. Thin paint. Tap it on your paper towel real strong the first time, because I mixed it with water, so. Okay, let's see if we can get you on camera. This project is bigger than my. Okay. See how much better that shows up. Switch to a round handle brush. I don't like. You want to turn your brush so it spatters in the direction that you want the spatters to come. So if you don't want them behind you, make sure you're not. Okay, now into the gold, the golden straw. Okay, now we look at it to see what else we need. I think we need more golden straw. Alright, and then we'll go in with our round brush. And we'll go into our, we'll go into golden. And we're going to bring a star down here. Okay, I'm going to bring one over here, one right here, and we'll go into the golden straw. A little too wet. Bring these guys up. And into white. Okay, it helps if you let those dry. Alright, now these ones, I don't think we hit them with white yet. So I'm going to go back and give them the white. Be careful about your spatters being wet. You can give these a little punch in the middle with white. As well as our star. Oops, that was a big punch. Okay, a little bit of white. Alright, now we walk around and we put a few more stars places that we need them. We need just different size stars and things like that. Not all the same. So I'm just going to go through and just do some little scooch-cha-cha-cha-chas. And we'll concentrate these more where, I gotta be kind of teeny where it's far back. But as we get up here, you know, maybe we can have, you know, a bunch of little ones all kind of coming together, following the trail. Just little skibbly scoos. Alright, now I think we need to get a big oval glaze brush like so. And we're going to go into water and into black. And a very washy float. And I think we want a little bit of our blue color in there to make everybody homies. And we're going to just darken this outer area. It would be delightful if I had any room left on my palette. And I don't. Okay. Clean across the top. Rounding those corners. So put it in the corner and then round it out like we did on the mailbox earlier. Okay, I do believe we'll go ahead and bring it down all the way around. All the way around these corners right here. Keeping it off the bell. And softening it in the snow so we don't end up too funny. Cute. Okay, I'm liking it. And now I think we need to spatter with black. Black only, I think. And that'll go. that'll go all over my mailbox, and I don't like it, so I'm going to wipe it off. And I have green. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's try that some more. Okay. I think we can call that a done deal.